I hate when detransitioners come on here and say stuff like, ooh, this is the dark side of testosterone. These are the side effects of testosterone that they don't talk about. Like, yeah, they do.
Okay, hi. The issue isn't the fact that these people didn't know what the HRT would do to them. It's the fact that they shouldn't have been on the HRT in the first place.
Did you ever do any research yourself? Did you, like, even read anything that they gave you? Did you read the packets they gave you that you're supposed to read? Like, did you do any research on, like, side effects? Like, it's your own goddamn fault.
Is it because I'm pretty sure, like, the majority of society understands that kids cannot consent? And even if they could, adults are also making mistakes at this.
It's gonna make everything sexual just not feel pleasurable anymore. In fact, it's gonna hurt when someone touches there.
And a big part of this is all because of the amount of ridiculous nonsense and misinformation that is being spewed online. I mean, this one TikToker is like famous for it.
What are hormone blockers and how do they affect your body? Hormone blockers are a series of injections and or an implant that you can have put in your arm that temporarily pauses puberty.
Oh, what do you mean temporarily pauses puberty?
For people assigned male at birth, puberty blockers will decrease facial hair and body hair growth, prevent your voice from getting deeper, and will limit eggplant growth. And for people assigned female at birth, hormone blockers will prevent boobie growth and getting your period. No more periods. Hey!
The fact that some sane people are responding to this person's post makes me smile just a little bit, even for a second. This person said, how can you casually interfere with the growth of a young person? The hormones don't get blocked and then live, they die. Those hormones are essential. We are diving deep into the detrans trend at the moment because of this brand new landmark study that just came out 2 days ago. The Daily Mail posted, most gender-confused children grow out of it. A landmark 15-year study concludes, as critics say, it shows being trans is usually just a phase for kids. Listen, in some cases, I enjoy being right. In this case, I do not, because unfortunately it means many more people, especially kids, are going to be harmed. Many of them detransitioning in the next few years, and most of them will simply go on to realize that they were just a simple big old lesbian, or big old gay, or big old bi, or just a sad white girl in a suburban town that's being raised by a middle-class liberal family. I mean, where's the lie? And listen, and before a ton of you leftists, far leftists, come for me saying, Ariel, there are a ton of studies that have been done that show that this study is false. Not really. Yes, while there have been some studies that show the opposite of what this study is showing, like this one covered by The Advocate a few years back. Look what my friend Sarah pointed out though. She said 64 participants, they were all adults, they were all only followed for 3 months, and based on a survey, probably the most useless survey I've ever seen. Number one, the survey's too small. Number two, gender euphoria is all that was being captured. And number three, it's a survey, so of course they said their distress subsided. They want you to show positive results. Number four, few people care about adults because it is the your body, your choice argument. She concluded this tweet by saying, now how about we go to a study at 10 years after transitioning? I'm so glad she asked, because they happen to have posted this 2 days ago, and it is a 15-year study. The majority of gender-confused children grow out of that feeling by the time they are fully grown adults, according to a new long-term study. Researchers in the Netherlands tracked more than 2,700 children from age 11 to their mid-20s, asking them every 3 years of feelings about their gender. This is very important, okay? Listen to this. Research showed at the start of the study, around 1 in 10 children, which was around 11%, expressed gender non-contentedness to varying degrees. So kids that were expressing in one way or another they were not comfortable with their gender or their body. But by the age of 25, just 1 in 25, which was 4%, said that they often or sometimes were only discontented with their gender. So things started to go down as time went on. The research concluded that the results of the current study might help adolescents to realize that it is normal to have some doubts about one's identity and one's gender identity during this age period, and that it is also relatively common. Bitch, we've been knowing this, but like, okay, nobody wants to listen to the more conservative leaning people, right? I mean, look at this chart. This is just ridiculous over the last 10 years. The article goes on to say, the study is one of the longest into the issue of gender in children, but the researchers point out that it has some limitations, which I don't really think they're limitations, and I'll explain why in a second. For one, it looked at a mixture of children from the general population and kids who were receiving mental health care, though not specifically for anything related to their gender. Therefore, it does not necessarily reflect the attitudes of children clinically diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Yeah, I see what you're trying to say, but I actually think this is a good thing that they pointed out here. This is the point I've been trying to make about mental health in young females specifically for years. The medical industry is continuously fast-tracking kids that just have mental health issues that do not actually have gender dysphoria. They're fast-tracking them onto HRT, to getting them surgeries, and this has been a big problem for a while now. Participants were also asked to evaluate their self-worth by rating how they felt about their physical appearance and self-esteem. Listen to this, very important. According to their findings, females, not surprised, were more likely to report being unhappy with their gender, and both increasing and decreasing non-contentedness were associated with lower self-esteem, lower self-worth, more behavioral problems, and an increase in emotional struggles. If you take away anything from this video, let it be this. I've been saying this for a long time. The authors of this study clearly agree with me. They say gender non-contentedness, while being relatively common during early adolescence, in general decreases with age and appears to be associated with a poorer self-concept and mental health throughout development. Been saying this for years. I've been saying that young girls usually have more of an issue with their bodies during puberty, during growing up in general. Young women are more likely to experience anxiety, depression, OCD, body dysmorphia, which is quite often confused with gender dysphoria. And young women are also more likely to reach out to therapists and mental health professionals to get help when it winds up a lot of the time not being helpful, but there's that. I found this video going viral on X and I wanted to share it with you because people are finally looking to sue their ex-practitioners or their current practitioners.
I am in pain everywhere, all of the time.
When gender-affirming care damaged my health and jeopardized my singing career, I felt I had nowhere to turn.
As a young person who fell prey to the illusion that gender-affirming care and transition could help treat my complex PTSD, I'm relieved that there can be some form of justice for the additional medical trauma that I've endured.
Please, scream from the mountaintops. Stop transing kids.
I did not know that this was going to happen to my body when I gave informed consent.
And understandably so, right? So many of these lawsuits now are coming up for a number of reasons. One being that a lot of these doctors that are so-called, caring for these patients haven't even followed up with their patients after getting these gender-affirming surgeries or treatments.
The real difficulty is just when the long-term impacts simply aren't known. And then secondly, again, one of the criticisms from Dr. Cass in the interim report has been the failure to follow people's journeys after having received these clinical interventions.
Can you give us an idea of the numbers here? Is it true to say that you're expecting around 1,000 former patients to join this class action?
Yes, I mean, it's hard to put a precise number on it now, but we run over 25 very large class actions from our firm, and we've got decades and decades of experience in the size of these groups. I
bring up this issue and a topic with this video for two main reasons. Number one, more kids are being harmed and mistreated, and as I've said already, and I don't want that to continue. I mean, none of us do. And number two, we have to not just look at the past and the present, we have to think about the future, right? And I believe studying detransitioners and looking into the people that thought that they were trans and might not be is actually crucial for the care of people with gender dysphoria. This article was written a few years back, but it speaks volumes. Why detransitioners are crucial to the science of gender care. So the author of this article had seen that so many people that were detrans were coming out online on TikToks, on Instagram posts, whatever, YouTube videos, and he saw that they were being bullied, or they were being outcast, they were being canceled, and this is what he had to say. He said, "I can't think of any other examples where you're not allowed to speak about your own healthcare experiences if you didn't have a good outcome. It's also the only medical experience that you you are allowed to now self-diagnose, like just walk into a doctor's office in some cases and say that, listen, I'm trans, I have gender dysphoria, give me my shit. He said, we cannot carry on in this field that involves permanently changing young people's bodies if we don't fully understand what we're doing and learning from those who we've failed. We need to take responsibility as a medical and mental health community to see all of the outcomes. Of course, this is obviously true and needs to be, in my opinion, the next step in this entire process. Now, my question for you guys, and leave it in the comments below, is do you think these people need more therapy? Do you think they need less therapy? Because sometimes these people are going to therapy and then being convinced that they're trans, or just there's no pushback. Do you think they simply need more time in their development? Do you think that they need better friends? Different friends? Do you think they need less internet? Do you think they simply need more self-esteem? I'm gonna end the video with this tweet because I think it sums it up perfectly. This person responded me a few months back and said, my new phrase is, you can't grow up in networks, you have to grow up in communities. You need to physically be around people so you can understand people and thus help yourself grow as a person. Sadly, we are losing this as we become more and more digitally dependent. And I think with digitally dependent also comes emotionally dependent, feeling the need to be validated by these external communities, by these new group of friends that you have, and the fact that like there's one trans kid in every person's class now, although they're not actually trans, right? They're just probably somebody that's experiencing, like I said before, a different mental illness that's not being treated correctly. This all needs to stop, and we need to start working on it now, and this is definitely a good start. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I have 2 amazing videos coming out over the next 2 weeks, so if you are not subscribed to me, make sure to do that now so you do not miss them. And also, go and follow me on TikTok because I'm posting there now. Ton of shit takes in a good way. Other than that, I will see you guys back here on Sunday with a brand new video. Until then, I love you, love yourselves. Keep calling out the bullshit. Bye.